This is The Process Shot. I'm Michael. I'm stuck in the background of someone else's story, and I've seen The Cocoanuts, a musical comedy film from 1929 directed by Robert Florey and Joseph Santley that stars the Marx Brothers in what seems to be their actual first time on film. In some adaptation of a stage musical, the movie is set in Florida and sees Groucho as the unsuccessful owner of a hotel, with only a handful of paying customers. As he tries to cut corners and sell some land that he owns, a separate story occurs in which the daughter of one of the wealthy hotel customers is in love with a young man struggling to find architectural work, despite the protestations of her mother, who would rather that she marries a different man who is better off but also a con man trying to steal her jewelry. If the idea of two concurrent plot lines sounds familiar, then you're on the same wavelength as I am. Yeah, while the actual story is different, the structure of this movie is pretty much the same as Animal Crackers, another Marx Brothers movie I've seen while I've been here, with another difference being that they gave me that movie to watch first before this one. I'll never understand what the rules are when it comes to screening movies here. Anyways, if I could remember anything that I said about that movie when I reviewed it, I'd say that it probably applies to this one as well. The story elements with the Marx Brothers themselves at least take an equal amount of presence here, hardly ever hampered by the separate romantic story with the kind of ending you know is coming before it even starts. They are truly the highlight of the production, with their mix of slapstick, one-liners, and prop comedy making for the film's more memorable moments, often to the point that the story stops everything just to let them do their thing. Speaking of which, those pauses aren't as blatant as in Animal Crackers, at least. As for the subplot, it's as contrived as you'd expect, with flat, bland, forgettable characters who do nothing more than fulfill archetypes and fill in the blanks, so to speak. I'll admit that it's tied together better with the Marx Brothers side of events, but that still only takes it so far. Speaking of which, the musical numbers go even less far, mostly because of the usual trends in early musicals of simply shoving songs into stories without trying to better integrate them. Half the time they seem to just be vehicles for the dancing acts, which are just as subpar as the songs themselves. There really isn't too much to say about the movie, other than that it gave the Marx Brothers a platform and put them on their way to becoming film stars. Well, that and the production value at hand, which does at least do its best to appear upscale and inviting. It really just means making large set pieces that accommodate a few dozen people, probably a holdover from the film's stage roots, but it's arguably better than nothing. They also do try to use the width and size of the set design to its advantage, mostly in the dancing scenes, which do try their hand at creative and, at the time, experimental framing, but it's an aspect hampered by the fact that there isn't too much to look at anyways. Anything else about the film feels pretty standard for this era of filmmaking. From the rather muffled audio with singing you can't really hear all that well, to editing that seems to only just cut the best takes together, rather than anything more inventive or plays with pacing, which goes somewhat against the speedy wit of the comedy, which in turn hurts the film's only real selling point. While the movie does allow the Marx Brothers to put their talents on display, it's still hampered by the notion that they weren't enough to carry an entire film. The Cocoanuts. Robert Florey, Joseph Santley, 1929. 1.5 stars. I'm a bit torn on saying that it's not worth seeing, but I would only recommend it if you were able to cut out anything that didn't involve the Marx Brothers. That's it for this review. If you liked it, leave a like. If you didn't, leave a comment. Subscribe to the channel for more reviews. It's at least nice to know that things got better for the Marx Brothers after movies like these. But I do wonder what it would have been like if they had let them run loose from the very beginning.